This Let's Play was supported by these awesome hobby companies.
Hello everybody. Today we're joined by Jonathan Hicks to take us on a bit of a sci-fi journey through those dark places. So Jonathan, you are our games master for this RPG adventure. Do you want to tell us what exactly we're going to be expecting to see in those dark places?
Well, the game is... Oh, sorry. Thank you very much for having me on. Hello, guys. The game is basically what I've classed as industrial science fiction. So it's based with the aesthetic of movies such as Outland, Dark Star, Alien, basically that kind of really grim blue-collar sort of atmosphere, that kind of design. Mm-hmm. So, so basically you have to deal with situations that you can't understand out in the middle of nowhere, where no help's coming. So, and the threat can be anything that's the games master, or in this game monitor, actually your general monitor, I should say. Don't even know my own game. I do apologise. So, the threat can be anything that they can think up in their heads. So yes, you can have aliens and strange cosmic entities driving you insane, but at the same time, you can have a faulty seal in the engine room, which is slowly poisoning everybody as the ship travels through space. So, but yeah, it's grim science fiction, 1970s science fiction.
Perfect.
Space truckers for the win. So we have here the cruise sheet, and the cruise sheet is not a big cruise sheet to deal with. So what do we need to do to put these characters together then, I suppose, is the first off the bat?
It's really simple. Character creation is really, really simple. You've only got to decide three things, and that is what your case file is, the case being charisma, agility, strength, and education, and what crew positions you're going to take, and a name if you want. So usually just second names, because that's what works. So yeah, that's basically it. So if you want to dive in very quickly, we've just got the three of you. It'll literally take 5 minutes if everybody's already got an idea of what it is that they want to play.
Yeah.
So first of all, you take your case file, you take your charisma, agility, strength, and education, and you get the numbers 1 through to 4. And you choose a number, one of those numbers, 1, 2, 3, or 4, for each of those attributes. Of course, the higher the better.
Cool. Okay.
So usually, sorry, go on.
One gets a 3, one gets a 2,
and the other one gets a 1.
That's right. Yeah. Now, in the book, you are allowed to speak to the GM, and they'll have a look and see which attributes suit which crew position. But the way that I like to get people to create characters is choose your statistics first, your attributes first, and then choose your crew position. Because yes, you may want to be a hotshot pilot, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be very good at it. So, put your attributes in. As soon as you're done, let me know.
I feel like being a little bit of I feel like going down the kind of Simon route from Firefly, being a little bit more of a...
Case is charisma, agility,
strength
and education. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to put my 4 in education, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that.
I have put my 4 in charisma.
Weirdly enough, so have I. This is one smooth crew.
So at least you're going to die very pleasant.
Yeah, you know. It's like a whole ship full of cats just attempting to lull the enemy.
So for agility, I have a 1.
Mm-hmm.
For strength, I have a 3. And for education, I have a 2.
Cool.
Nice.
I've gone agility 3, strength 2, and charisma 1. So nobody likes making friends with me.
It's all right. You're completely overshadowed by the binary suns that is myself and Warren on board this show. Just light up every room.
Unfortunately, with the strength 1, the sun's far too bright and you die instantly. Yeah.
And I've just gone 4, 3, 2, and 1 down the case file because that's how I roll. I have an idea.
Filled it in like a SATs test from school.
The next step is then you choose a crew position.
Mm-hmm.
And the crew position is basically what your role is on the ship. And you have to choose from helm officer, navigation officer, science officer, security officer, liaison officer, charisma 4, engineering officer, or medical officer. Now, you get to choose 2 of these positions. The first position is your primary position, and that gives you a +2 to certain roles because that's what you're very, very skilled at. Your secondary position is, well, you choose anything else for your secondary position, and that will give you a +1 to your rolls. So, yeah.
And we need to have a helm and a navigation.
Yes, in this particular game, we will need a helm and a navigation. Every ship that ships out, if it doesn't have a helm or a navigation officer of either secondary or primary skill, then the ship doesn't fly. So, yeah, you do need a helm and navigation.
So does anybody want to offer themselves up?
I'll be a helms officer.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's quite cool.
As your primary, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm toying between helm. Well, it's either helm and navigation, and then I really want to go down the medical route as well. But
maybe navigation.
Navigation. I'll do navigation as my primary then. I think that'd be a good idea. And then I'll do medical as my secondary. I think that'd be quite cool.
Medical's always a good idea.
Yes.
I'm not hinting at anything there, but medical's always a good idea.
Yeah, so that's me as primary position as navigation officer and medical officer as my secondary. There we go.
Do you have a choice, Warren? I think I might go primary for helm if you're not.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to go primary for helm, and then my secondary will be liaison.
Cool.
So what options remain then?
You could be
science officer, security officer, engineering officer.
Engineering's a good idea. Oops, not that I'm hinting again, but engineering's a good idea.
I shall go engineering.
Really? Wow, good choice.
What could go wrong putting Mr. Fumblefingered agility into the engine room and going, fix that
That's maybe
star
not
drive.
such a good idea, is it?
No, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Do you know, the more I look at these stats, they actually do describe me. I just pointed myself up there by the looks of it. My secondary role will be security then.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're the guy we trust with the taser occasionally.
Unless there's anything else that's cooler there, like ship barman or something like that. You know, it's
Well, I think the only other one was science officer. Was the only one that hadn't been taken.
I mean, who needs science though, right? Because science officers just end up looking inside the weird things anyway. So.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
true.
2021. Last year, though, science was proved to be dead. You know, we don't need superstition now, guys. You know,
Experts poor. I get all my information from Facebook.
So engineering and security.
Awesome.
That way I can get guns. Lots of guns.
Oh, no.
Well, each ship is equipped with a couple of dasers, which are sort of projectile tasers, and you get a couple of service pistols and shotguns. Now, they say only use the dasers because shooting high-velocity weapons on a spaceship is a pretty bad idea. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it really depends on the situation.
Yes.
Cool. And besides that, I wanted to do shotguns because they look really cool in Outland. So
shotguns are amazing.
That is true.
So.
It's not just because Sean Connery is wielding them.
That's true. Thinking over, yeah.
Cool. So that's our case file and our crew position sorted.
Mm-hmm. So now what you need is to find out how well you handle stress and pressure. Basically, you add your strength and education scores together, and you put that in your pressure bonus box.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6. So.
Show off.
Yeah, the higher the better, of course. Now, the way that pressure... I'll explain pressure in just a minute. I'll go through the rules very quickly.
Pressure 5.
What's yours, Gerry?
It's 3, okay? It's 3. And unless somebody wants the ship turned round and crashed into the sun, I suggest you stop pressuring me over it.
If you're going to give me instructions, make sure there's lavender in the room. So that's it. Your characters are now created.
Happy days.
Yeah. Job done. So all I need from you, and I always ask this for everybody because I always keep track, no matter what the role-playing game, not just this one, I need to know your character's name and what their strength score is. That way I can just keep track of people's health and situation.
Okie dokie. I'm Marshall Jones.
Jones.
And I've got a mighty strength of 2.
A strength of 2. Ben?
I'm Gorlan, so Gorlan, and my strength is 2.
Strength is 2. And Warren?
I'm Carter.
Carter.
My strength is 3.
Strength is 3. Now, when I run a game, I usually refer to you guys as your characters' names, just for immersion situation. Unless it's a situation outside of a game, then I'll refer to you as your real name. And that is it. That's character creation done. Now, of course, I talk in the book about creating a personality for your character because it's a storytelling game and people's relationships is what really drives the game. But because this is just a quick one-shot, we'll just dive straight in. Now, the rules are really, really simple. Basically, you need a D6. Boom. That's all you need. Single D6. Every time I ask you to roll an action, I'll usually tell you what attribute to use. Or you can suggest it as well, depending on the situation. You roll the D6, you add the attribute score. And if you have a crew position which also benefits that roll, you also add that crew position score to the roll as well. And there might be also bonuses for kind of equipment used, like if you've got the right tools for the job, that sort of thing. And that's it. You roll a D6, you add all those bonuses together, and your basic target number is 7. Now, there's 3 levels of success. You roll over 7, which is a success, so the higher the better, of course. You roll, and that's a success. You roll below 7, which is a failure, a straightforward failure. But if you roll dead on 7 or dead on what the target number is, that's a yes, but. So yes, you've succeeded, but there might be consequences later on down the line. So it's not specific. Although that's up to me as the general monitor to decide whether I act on that or not. So that adds a nice little level of tension to the game because you're going to be wondering if the hammer's going to come down at some point. And also if I remember to do it as well.
Yeah. Well, it encourages your players to bring you stuff as well.
It's strange how many presents I've got.
GM.
Yeah, GM Day this year was fantastic for me. So, and that's it. Now, the way pressure works is if you get a bit of a shock to the system or if you're under pressure to do something, again, you roll a D6 and you add your pressure bonus and the target is 10. Sorry, Gerry. So you go for the 10, and if you get 10 or more, there's no levels of success. You either succeed or you fail. And if you get 10 or more, then yeah, it's a shock to the system, but you're okay. If you fail that, you get something called a pressure point. And those pressure points slowly build up over time. And each pressure point you get, you roll a D6. And if you roll below your pressure level, not equal to, but below that, then you might have an episode. And that could be anything from being in shock and losing some stats to falling catatonic, to going absolutely insane and literally fighting everybody to get away from what it is that's terrified you. Now, these are shocks and jumps that you wouldn't be expecting. So if you were taken into a morgue saying, can you identify this body? And they throw the sheet back, then you're expecting that, so that won't be as much as a shock. Whereas if a body fell out of a cupboard and exploded all over you, yeah, that could be a bit of a surprising thing to happen. So that's it, and that's the way the game works. So like I say, it's a very story-driven game. So it's based more around the atmosphere, the plots, and what have you. But rolling can up the tension depending on how well you do or how well you don't do. So, all right,
fantastic. Yeah.
Any questions before we start?
No, I think we're ready to begin.
Yeah,
can't wait. Yeah,
good go. Right,
engage.
I think that's a bit too hopeful for this, but we'll go with it.
Right, so, okay, Archimedes is the ship that you are on, and this is where the story starts. The Archimedes is a general haulier ship. It's basically designed to take on cargo and move between stations and systems and what have you. It's quite slow. It's not fantastic, but it does the trick. In fact, it's quite a popular ship. It does really, really well. Unfortunately, it's also on its way out. It's an older vessel, and the maintenance charges are up through the roof. And Cambridge Wallace, who's the company that's employed you to fly this ship, this is their ship. One of their biggest regrets is buying a fleet of these things about 5 years ago, because now they're just useless. And they're losing money hand over fist. It's costing more to send a ship to another system to deliver equipment and do what it's supposed to do than the actual job is worth. It's an absolute shame. So what they're doing, they're retiring these vessels and they're sending them all back to Seoul to be used as a system vessel, so that you can jump between planets and not between star systems. And that's your job. Basically, you've been given a cargo of really, really highly expensive solution, which is used in the atmosphere processes, the formatters back on Earth, which are basically keeping the air breathable back on Earth in these massive factories called lungs, which basically put breathable air into the atmosphere. Basically, everything that Cambridge Wallace does, and a lot of the other companies do, is to keep Earth alive, with its few billion people still living on the surface. And that's basically the job that you've been given. You've been given the Archimedes. You're a 3-man crew. They haven't gone for the full 5-man because there's just no point. It's literally just going from one place to another and dropping the ship off and the cargo. And what could be easier than that? So, yeah, the Archimedes is the last of its line. A lot of the others have already gone, have already left the station. And it's a straight run, 8 weeks from where you are now, straight back to Seoul. You arrive there, drop it off, no problem at all. Of course, with it being an older ship, you are required to go into long sleep. You do have a synthetic on board called Warren. That's not his actual name, that's the nickname that he's been given. Usually they're given serial numbers. But Warren basically will run the ship and look after the ship whilst you're in transit. And that's it. The long sleep is just your standard. You drink this cocktail of liquids, which basically helps to slow down your metabolism. You climb into a tube, you pop some monitoring pads on yourself and just go to sleep, and that's it. And it lowers the temperature and keeps you alive for the 8 weeks. Very, very simple. So it becomes a bit of a surprise then, when when you got your eyes closed and you can see lights and shades through your closed eyes. Mm-hmm. I'll start with you actually, Ben. Mm-hmm. That's what is waking you up, this flashing behind in your ears and this muted constant, it's banging in your ears, and there's like a thumping, like somebody's trying to shake you awake, and it's absolutely horrendous. And it's making your ears burst. It's literally drilling through your skull, this horrendous sound. And when your eyes finally do crack open very, very slightly, exactly how it's been described, there's gases in the air, there's red lights flashing, there's alarms going off, it's really, really dark. There's a crack going down your long sleep tube. It's not good. And that's all you can hear. And you know for a fact that's the depressurization alarm, which is not a great thing to wake up to.
Okay.
So before you go any further, sorry, roll 1d6. Okay, you don't want to roll a 1.
Oh,
I think you might know why.
I rolled a 1.
Oh, my Lord. You've also got this smell of urine and feces, because there is a 1 in 6 chance that you will relieve yourself in a long sleep pod. It's just why I think sometimes your body doesn't react very well to the solution. So that's one of the things the solution does, is force out bodily wastes. So not only is the alarm going off, there's gases in the air, there's sparks flying, there's alarms, you've messed yourself. What a day.
Great. I'm going to try and at least hit the sort of emergency maybe inside the long sleep to try and bring the cover off.
Yeah.
And try and clamber out and see, try and get my bearings basically.
Yeah, there is an emergency release. You slam that, you push it in, it's basically like an emergency stop button. You pop that in and there's a pop and a hiss and your ears pop straight away. But there is atmosphere coming in. So there's gases, and the smell that you get straight away, other than the urine and the feces, is the smell of burnt electricals and wiring, and it's forcing its way up your nose. It's really, really disorientating. The pod it pops up, but you're going to have to push it off manually.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm going to try and heave it off me and move it out of the way. Yeah. Okay.
While you're doing that, Warren, that's when you wake up. As again, exactly the same thing. Banging in your ears. There's all sort of thuds where you are, but it's a bit weird for you because you seem to be pressed up against glass.
Oh no!
Which feels a bit strange. And then when your eyes finally do open, you're actually looking at the floor, and like the spiderweb shattered glass of the long sleep capsule.
Okay. Well, first things first, I want to use all my charisma to clench hard.
Oh, that's a good point. I think roll a d6.
Oh, please. Oh, God, I got a 1.
Oh, my Lord. It's going to be a full house.
Oh, no.
So not only, obviously what's happened is your long sleep pod's falling off its stand and it's slammed onto the ground. It's lying on top. Unfortunately, there's smears all over the glass as well where you've landed and thrashed about. So there's alarms going off. It's not nice.
Right. I need to try and get out of this pod in some way. But is a pod, like, could could I kind of like force my way out, but to lift the pod up with the, by hammering onto my hands and knees and try and push up? Or?
Absolutely, it is possible. What's your strength? Sorry,
strength 3.
So roll a d6 and add 3, and because you've just woken up and it's going to be quite hard. The difficulty is going to be 8.
I rolled a 1. I'm going to change this dice.
No, I wouldn't change it. Just burn it, because you might accidentally use it again. So, you start heaving and pushing, and you feel something pop in your shoulder, and your back hurts. You literally just come out of long sleep. Physical movement is probably not the best thing at the moment. Unfortunately, it's not budging. Gerry, sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, do I see as I'm opening up the case, do I see Carter's long sleep is over, sort of like overturned?
Yeah, it's just to your right, and there's about 8 or 9 long sleep pods here, and it's just to your right. You're in the bunk rooms, and by the looks of it, it's come off its stand, it's slammed down, face on up. There's all wires flapping about, and there's gas hoses and all sorts sort of flipping about all over the place.
So, as I know that if there's some problem with kind of the sort of electrical side of the ship at the moment, I know that obviously Carter's an important person to get up and out of his pod.
Yeah.
But as I'm searching around for something, I yell out to try and see if Warren is around to try and get our Sam to come and help us.
Yeah. Got you. Yeah, no worries at all. Deal with that in just a second.
Toilet paper as well, please.
Yeah. Change your clothes, please. Jones, this is when you wake up. Exactly the same thing again. It's all the ooh, and the lights are flashing. Your pod seems to be absolutely fine, but there's an accurate. Oh, sorry. Can you roll d6?
2.
So your pod seems to be absolutely fine, but there's a horrendous. You find it very difficult to catch your breath. So every time you draw in, when you draw in, and you can feel your lungs. You sort of draw in, you get about halfway, then it stops, and you're feeling really lightheaded.
Right. I will punch the button to open the pod.
Gotcha.
Presumably something has gone wrong and my air is lacking. Or maybe the scrubbers are broke.
You smack the button, there's a click, but nothing happens.
Oh, that's great. I'll start kicking.
Yep.
Attempting to lever the pod open.
Make a strength roll. Again, difficulty is to force the pod. It's going to be 8. Oh, actually, no, sorry. It's going to be 7. I do apologise.
It's not going to help, not with a roll of 1. So that'll be 3 then.
Right, another one. So you literally start kicking at the pod and sort of banging. Sorry, is it Gorian, yeah?
Gorlan, yeah.
Gorlan, I do apologise. I can't read my own writing. Gorlan, can you roll a d6 and add your education score? The difficulty is going to be 7.
Okay, so that's 4 plus 2, so that's 6 in total.
6,
so,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got Carter's pod is upside down on the floor, and to your left, Jones's pod is there, and you can actually see his pod is filling full of gases, and you can see fists banging against it. So you also hear a crack over the sound of all the alarms, and Carter's pod shifts as if it's going down. Carter, you're in the pod. Suddenly, the pod feels a little bit lower than it did before. Who do you want to go for first?
Oh, man. Oh no! I'm going to run over to Jones's pod and see if I can, if there's any release catches on the outside or anything like that.
Yeah, there's like a lever release on the outside. I'm going to ask you to make a strength roll, and the difficulty is going to be it's going to be 6.
Cool.
If I see him attempting to operate the lever on the outside, can I lean into it to try and help him?
Fine, yeah, that's absolutely grand. Don't worry about rolling. Ben, you can add Gorlan, you can add a +1 to your roll.
Cool. So it was 6, but it's now up to 7. So
excellent. So you get over the handles, the emergency release handle, you give it a yank, it's not budging. Suddenly, 2 fists sort of slam into the glass, and the thing just pops open. All this gas comes flying out, and Jones, you take this breath of nasty smelling, but at least it's air. Warren, Carter, I need you to make a strength roll, D6 plus your strength. The difficulty is going to be 6.
I've rolled a 5 and I've strength 3.
Brilliant. The pod drops again, literally onto your shoulder and pushes you down, but you've already got your hands down, and just basically your upper body strength is stopping the pod from crushing you. The breath starts to leave your lungs because the weight of the pod, or the glass below you now has pretty much flattened out and sort of cracked and spiderwebbed to nothing. Jones, you're going to be a little bit out of it for a round or two because of what's happened to Gorlan. There's a massive cracking sound behind you, and you see the pod drop down again.
I'm gonna look around to see if I can find like a pipe that's come off the wall or any kind of sort of mechanical, sort of like a crowbar or something.
Okay.
And just go and try and see if I can just like force it open with that, or smash through the glass on one side.
Yeah.
Try and sort of get him out or something like that.
I'd say there's an odds and evens chance. So roll a d6. If you roll an even number, there's like a fire axe or a working like a crowbar that you can use.
Cool. I got 2.
Brilliant. There's a fire axe that you can use with a metal handle.
Cool.
So you get over that. Get it over. Go running over.
Give it a swing.
While you go and grab that, Carter, you need to make another strength roll.
6 in total.
In total. Okay, again, the pod drops down, but again, you're holding it. You're not too sure how much longer you're going to hold it. Gorlan, you grab that. Jones, if you want to help as well, you're now out the pod. You're the only one that hasn't messed himself, so well done. So you got out the pod.
I can tell them they should always go before they sleep.
Or wear rubber pants. So you climb out the pod. You see what's happening. Gorlan's grabbed hold of his fire axe and has run back over to this upside down pod.
I'll stagger over. The pods themselves are pretty much cylindrical.
That's right, yeah. Imagine the pods that are in Alien on the Nostromo.
So rather than trying to lift it, try and roll it onto its back so that the glass is no longer trying to support the weight. Okay,
then. So, Gorlan, you go in. So you make a strength. The difficulty is going to be 7. So you make a strength roll plus your d6. You get a +1 because you're using the axe to lever it. And I'll give you another +1 because you've got Jones helping as well.
Fantastic.
Can I help?
You're just basically stopping yourself from being crushed at the moment.
Okay.
You're flat underneath it. They're in a better position.
It's unfortunately not going to help me because I rolled a 1. So that's even with the bonuses, that's only up to a 4 in total. Yeah. So
right.
No, 5.
So you get it under. You start to heave it, and it's basically not budging. Carter, you need to make another strength roll.
Okay. 7.
Brilliant. You're still okay. Do you want to give it another shot?
Yeah. I'll try to give it again. Although this time I'll try the kind of, because if the glass is almost kind of like broken underneath, maybe rolling it over is the best thing to begin with.
Yeah.
Sort of like getting it out of the way of it falling through the grating and stuff below. So I'll try and do that with Jones.
Okay.
So. Oh, come on.
Heave, man, heave.
Oh no, but I got +2, so that's 6 in total, but I don't think that's going to be enough, is it?
Okay, well, you've pushed it enough to stop Carter having to make any more strength rolls.
Right.
But it's basically not moving. And that's when you notice in the corner, sat on a chair, which is where he usually sits when he's in downtime, is Warren. Now, since Sam's synthetic automatons basically bald, no eyebrows, basically just skin. They've basically got rubber skin, but they look like people with that kind of weird, uncanny valley kind of appearance to them. He's just sat there. He's not even wired in for downtime. He's literally just sat there. He's not watching. He's sat there like he normally does with his hands on his knees, just looking straight ahead at nothing.
I sort of bellow over at him and I just call out, Warren, goddamn help me with this.
Yeah, doesn't budge. You can make another roll.
Need to go and check for a switch.
Okay, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8 now in total. Yeah.
Then finally, he did one massive push, and the whole pod rolls over. Carter, you're a little bit bruised. You got cut up hands, but it's not bad. At this point, after everything that's just happened, I'm going to ask everybody to make a pressure roll.
Cool.
Let me just go ahead and I failed.
There is a roll option in the book actually, whereas rolls of 1s are always a failure and rolls of 6 are always a success. I'm not going to use that in this particular game.
I know that's a shame because it would have been a 1.
Yeah, I'll ignore it either way.
We are the most doomed crew.
I rolled an.
You want what? Sorry.
8. 3 plus my 5 pressure. So 8.
So you get a pressure point.
So I got my pressure bonus of 6 plus roll of 4, so that's 10.
10, so you're fine.
I'm good.
So Jones and Carter, you both get a pressure point each. You don't need to roll just yet because it's still early, and you need to roll below your pressure level for anything to actually happen.
Cool.
So you're in the bunk room at the moment. On the map, it's I haven't got my map up actually. I do apologise.
There we are.
There we go. Now, if you have a look on, you've got the bunk rooms on the left-hand side, crew quarters number 5. Cool. You're on the upper one towards the front. and that's your bunk room. Each one of those, there's several pods in there. You've only taken up 3, of course. But yeah, the door's closed. There's pipes flying about everywhere. There's gases. There's electrical sparks and explosions. Everything is in absolute disarray.
I'll turn to Carter and just point over at Warren and be like, see if you can get that goddamn skinhead to do something. And then just sort of look around, see if I can find a diagnostic screen as well, maybe, to see what's going on.
Gotcha. Okay. You shout that out. Carter, what is it you want to do?
Yeah, I'm going to go over to the sim and see if I can activate him.
Gotcha. Make an engineering roll. It's going to be quite simple for you. So D6. Was engineering your secondary or your primary? Sorry. Primary. So it's a D6 plus 2 plus your education score. Okay, so that is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Yeah, you go over. He's literally just switched off. There is no. I'm not supposed to do that unless you manually do it. That when they do go to downtime, they're supposed to plug themselves into recharge and to keep themselves connected to the ship systems in case of situations such as this. Obviously, it hasn't happened. So yeah, you go over to him and basically you get the thing at the back of his neck. You slide it up. You know, like the battery slides you get on the remote controls. It's like that. You slide it down, flick a couple. You just roll the battery and give it a flick, and and then suddenly he sort of sits up and looks around, and then sort of stands up and looks over at you. How may I be of assistance, sir? As if he's completely oblivious to what's going on around him.
Warren, I would like you to connect into the systems and find out what's happening.
Of course. And he turns and starts walking towards the door. He gets to the door, presses the button. There's a creak. The door slides open, and he walks out into the corridor. Again, outside, it's dark. There's lights flashing. There's gases, and there's absolutely all sorts. As the door opens, you know, it's like a shadow just outside, like something just goes past the door from the right to left. Like something's just gone straight past the door as he opens it. But he's he's oblivious to it, and he steps out into the corridor and then turns left as if he's heading for the bridge.
And Carter saw that?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Okay, right.
Right, okay. So, guys, I'm going to talk to my crewmates here. The sim was switched off. That's not supposed to happen. Did any of you guys switch him off? Because I didn't switch him off.
Shake my head.
No.
Right.
No,
so
that would be madness.
Something has switched him off. From my engineering experience, I'm assuming that it's near impossible to accidentally have a sim switched off. It would
no, it is impossible. Literally what you did, open the back of the neck, you can't just trip over and switch himself off. You literally have to open the panel, switch it off, and that's it. Yeah. The only other times they switch up is when they run out of power or have an accident. That's it. But he was sat in his chair where he was supposed to sit down and recharge and connect, and he basically just wasn't.
Right.
I was going to say, actually, just before you raise them up, I tossed the axe to the one-time security officer who once held a taser, and let Carter use the axe if he needs to.
Yeah.
Thank you. But there's two options here. So either we have a dodgy sim and he switched himself off, or we're not alone.
Okay. Neither of those are particularly good ideas.
Neither is a good option.
And especially if he's heading towards the bridge, I think we need to head towards the bridge ourselves just to see where we are and where we're going.
Cool. As they're heading towards the door to make their way out into the corridor, the hallway. Was there like a diagnostic screens anywhere, or sort of like things?
Yeah, but they're all blown out, unfortunately.
Right.
In fact, looking around, you can actually see. You know these old ships. You've been on the Archimedes before, and vessels like it, and it looks like the actual ceiling above you is dented in somewhat, and it's blown out loads of panels and loads of piping. Anything electrical in here has been completely wrecked, but it looks like something from outside has pressed down on the ship.
Okay.
Again, there's also depressurization warnings going off. That siren that you can hear is a depressurization warning.
Right. I guess heading to the bridge probably a good idea.
Are there any pressure suits?
Yes, inside each of the bunk rooms, there's pressure suits, back suits, the space suits, the actual EVA suits you'll find in the airlock.
I suggest we maybe put on the pressure suits, guys, before we start running around the ship if there's a depressurization issue. So
a good idea. Yeah, clamber into one of those as delicately as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's no problem. That just takes a few minutes. And then as you're all sort of getting ready and sort of getting the helmets into place, it's like the whole ship rocks like it's been hit by something. In fact, I'll need everybody to make an agility roll. It's D6 plus your agility score. Difficulty is going to be 6.
Oh, yeah, I got 9.
Okay. 8.
4.
Literally, the whole ship rocks like something is seriously just struck it. And in fact, you can hear the boom as it sort of echoes throughout the entire vessel. You all sort of stagger. Sadly, Carter, you go flying off. Roll a D6. If you roll a 1 or a 6, you're going to land on something nasty.
4.
You hit the deck. You're a bit bruised, but you're okay.
Help him back to his feet. And,
yeah,
I'm okay.
And then you get that sense, when you're inside a vehicle and like if we blacked out windows, or if you're on a plane even, you get a sense of movement, but your inner ear just doesn't get it, and you start to feel a little bit. I don't know. I suppose you can call it sort of. It's just disorientated.
Yeah,
that's how it feels. Like the ship's moving of its own accord, and you're inside it. You can actually like the ground's shifting, but of course you've got no horizon to center on. That's right. That's how it feels right now.
Does it feel like an actual course correction of the ship, or does it feel like something's hit
the ship? Yeah,
bounced us away.
Get to the bridge, and I think probably.
Yeah.
Are we within our solar system as we know it?
You don't know. You don't know how long you've been in long sleep. You don't know if.
Okay.
Yeah. So you make your way to the bridge. You get to the bridge door. The door's already open because the synth has already gone in there.
Mm-hmm.
The blast screens are down over all the windows. So, and you walk into and you imagine it to be like the bridge on the Nostromo. Everything's quite cramped, and you've got your personal effects hanging from the ceiling and all sorts. There's one of those dipping birds having a go. So it's it's really cramped, and also there's a level of smoke in here, like somebody's actually coming in with a dry ice machine, because there's electrical burning happening all over the ship, and there's alarms still going off, and you can hear the scrubbers churning, trying to actually deal with it. It's not good. When you walk into the bridge, like I say, all the screens are down, and the synthetic is over on the left-hand side by an access station. He's pulled a cord out of his wrist. He's plugged that in, and he's stood there, and every now and then his head just sort of twitches and moves as he's obviously taking in data style.
I'll head over to my, I suppose my station on board as helmsman, and attempt to see if I can work out what trajectory we're on. Are we would have been on a course when we went into long sleep. Are we still following that?
Yeah. Are you checking? So you're checking your position, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So roll a d6, add your education, and add your navigation score.
Okay.
If he needs help with that, I'll head over to one of the computers and start looking through that for the nav logs and that kind of thing. So
cool. You add a +1 to your roll then. Yeah.
Yeah. +1 to the roll will bring me to 7. 7.
You've hit dead on the score, and we all know what that means. So you hit dead on the score, and you are nowhere near Earth. Straight away, as soon as the nav logs come up, and as soon as the star charts appear, you are nowhere near Earth. And in fact, by the looks of it, you've been in transit for 11 weeks, and you've been pretty much heading in the opposite direction. Now, when you charted this course, you were given the details. You know that the course itself was correct. There is no way that you got that wrong. If you did get it wrong, fair dues. You might have been off by a few degrees and several light years. But 11 weeks in the wrong direction, not a chance.
Okay.
Also, there's proximity alarms going off all over the place as well.
I assume the blast screens are down because the whatever view windows we have been blown out, or it's part of the pressurization, is it?
No, it's part of the depressurization protocol. The windows are still intact according to the system. The blast shields are just being put down for protection.
Is there any way to raise those to see what we're looking at, and to also halt the ship at the same time, or halt the ship first and then open the windows?
You can halt the ship first. The gimbals not the gimbals. The what do they call it? The gyros will take care of that. So make a helm roll, whoever's in charge. D6 plus your education score.
Good old Captain Jones.
7 again.
7, yeah, you managed to get it down, so not all of you aren't feeling quite as queasy as you were a second ago. You managed to sort of get it leveled out. And then the blast screen opens, and you are in the middle of what appears to be a thick asteroid field. But looking at the scanners on the system, you're actually like in the rings, like a Saturn ring.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually in orbit of a really dark, dead planet with those really thick rings going around it. And you are actually sat inside the ring. If this is an accident of navigation, to end up in the rings of a planet, it's just the odds
bad luck.
Are more than what C3PO can even imagine. It's just insane. You should not be here. And in fact, by the looks of it on the star charts, this planet itself has been charted and then just completely ignored. So it's actually on the star charts, but there's nothing there of any worth. These rocks are literally just porous rocks and ice. That's it. So there's nothing there of any worth to any company.
That's what I was going to say, because I was going to try and look through the maps and see if there was any details. But if it's kind of just been forgotten, that's even weirder than before.
Yeah, there's not even a monitoring station here. There's not even a marker boy here, because nobody is interested in this system. There is nothing here of worth whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk to Warren and let's see what he has learned from his interfacing with the ship?
Yeah, he sort of turns and the actual wire itself disconnects and winds back into his wrist. And he turns to face you and he sort of bows slightly at the waist. I have checked the system and everything is working within parameters. Is there anything else you'd like me to do? Oh, yeah. And can I take this opportunity, sirs, to say welcome to Earth orbit?
Oh, you've gone wrong. Can you run a diagnostic on yourself, Warren?
I certainly can, sir. It should take roughly 7 hours.
Yeah, go ahead. If we need you before then, we'll be certain to let you know.
He plugs himself in and then sits down in the chair and goes to that mode where he's basically in shutdown mode. And his eyes just looking straight. Every now and then his eyes just sort of moving left and right.
Gorlan just mutters under his breath, totally goddamn useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like somebody's deliberately sabotaged Warren and us, which means we're not alone on this boat.
Mm-hmm.
Taking what Carter said previously when he said that there was like a shape that had gone past the door.
Yeah.
Gorlan's going to see, is there like a sort of like a vitals sort of readout of kind of what's happening on the ship? Or
yeah, there's a system on the ship. Basically, you've all got ID chips. You can either have them surgically implanted. They're basically just like the little chips that you get on credit cards. So it gives you credit details and sort of personal details and what have you. You can have them surgically implanted, or a lot of people just opt to have them on cards and they keep them in the wallets around their necks and what have you. Completely up to you. The ship automatically detects these ID chips so it can get a proper manifest and then also decide how many resources it's going to use to keep people alive on the vessel. Looking at the system, all you detect is you three. That's it. You three and Warren. Warren's self-diagnosing right now.
Well, the system doesn't show that there's anything else on here.
I suggest we split up and search for clues.
Have you not seen the movies?
Is there any way to monitor how much resources the ship has used compared to what it should have used for 3 people in long sleep?
Sure, no problem at all. The best way to do that is to use the engineer, who obviously knows the ship and how these systems work. So so roll a d6, add your education score, and add your engineering position.
So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10, brilliant. Yeah, you can get a really, really detailed rundown. Basically, all the resources that have been consumed, air, water, everything, is enough for 3 people.
All right. I'll look over at Carter.
So if something is on this ship,
Yeah.
it's not living.
Potentially.
Oh, well, that's so much more comforting. No, really, honestly, of all the things that you could tell me right now, that is exactly what I wanted to hear.
Suddenly, there's another thump, a huge crash this time. The whole ship just starts to spin. Again, everybody make a d6 roll, add your agility score.
I got 5 in total.
9.
Yep. 9.
6.
And a 6. So, Gorlan, you roll a d6. You don't want to roll a 1 or a 6.
I rolled a 1.
And you take a single point of damage. Basically, the whole ship shifts. You go flying through the air, and one of the low-hanging computer stations, your head just literally goes right. It's like smacking your head on the corner of a desk. It literally goes straight into it. It lifts you off. You knocks your head straight back off your feet, and you slam straight down onto your back. There's blood pouring down the side of your face. It is not nice.
So when you take damage, that takes off your strength score.
Off your strength score, that's right. Yeah.
Right, okay.
On strength, if you get to 0 and then you're unconscious, if you go below 0, you should be okay. But if you get to -2, then you will die in your strength score in rounds unless you get medical attention.
Okay.
So you're still conscious, but you're just in a lot of pain, and you can't see through the blood that's pouring down your forehead.
I'm going to call over to Carter and Jones to see if they can find out where because there's a depressurization warning. So try and find out where that is. And I'm going to try and stumble over to where I know there's kind of like some medical, the little medical kits I kept.
In fact, this impact has been really severe. The ship is really spinning, really going. So you're going to need somebody of some kind of skill to get you back on level.
Yeah, I will attempt
this. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is attempt to compensate, get us back to stationary again.
Yeah.
But
roll your d6.
We'll worry about where we go after that.
Yeah.
So d6 plus helm and agility, is it? Or
sorry, it's education.
Education. So that would only be 5.
You find it difficult to get the ship. Obviously, this last impact has done some severe damage to something, and in fact, your port side thrusters will not respond. And at that moment, an alarm starts going off, and a voice comes over the tunnel: "Containment, containment, containment. 4 minutes. 4 minutes." Basically, it's saying there's something wrong in your right-hand engine. The containment has been breached, and you're going to have a meltdown in 4 minutes.
Oh, good.
As the ship rotates again, you see the engine outside floating away into the distance.
All right.
Okay.
I was about a little click of my seatbelt.
Well, Gordon's going to just stay plastered to the deck as much as possible until the thing stops spinning. Basically.
Yeah, do you want to make another roll there, Jones?
I would love to.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see if I can roll on the flat. 6. I'm getting better.
Yeah, again, though, this is a severe spin, and the ship will not respond. You've just lost an engine, and that's flying off into the distance. The actual containment warning is still on this ship. So there's part of the engine still on the ship, which is going to melt down in about 4 minutes.
Right. So from how does the engineering on these ships work? Do I do it from the bridge, or do I need to go to the engine bays? Or?
No, you have to be in the engine bay. You can monitor it from the bridge and make adjustments, but anything physical, you have to be down in the engine room. And on the map, you're at the engine room. You've got 2 engine rooms for each engine, 1 for each engine, and it's number 9, but on the right-hand side.
Right.
Okay. If I head to the engine room, could I ask one of the other crew members to log into the engineering monitoring system?
Yeah.
Try and give me some kind of a readout on what's happening while I'm headed down to the engine room.
Sure.
While Jones is trying to steady the ship, I'll do that. And also, Gorlan has no intent on going anywhere while blood is pouring out of a wound on his head. Yeah. So he tries to sit in a seat.
Yeah.
Looks around sparingly for a med, but probably isn't one, and tries to see if he can get the engine diagnostics.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gorlan, roll a d6. If you roll an even number, there's a med kit, an emergency med kit within arm's reach of you.
Right. I got a 4.
Brilliant. Underneath each console, you're lying right next to one of the units now. There's an emergency medical kit, so everybody's got one to hand in case there's a major problem, much like this. So yeah, you reach underneath and pull that out. The issue here is that because the ship is spinning and it's sort of disorientating, and you can actually fit it under your feet, movement is going to be difficult. So, Carter, you're trying to get down to the engine room.
Yeah.
It's not going to be too difficult, but I will ask you to roll a d6 and add your agility score, and you've got to score 6 or more.
You got this, Carter.
I got 5.
Yeah.
1. I got 6.
Brilliant. So you're sort of staggering around. You hold onto the walls. You're tripping. You're falling. You're shoulder barging places, but you're actually making it. And you've got 3 minutes to go. before this containment situation gets out of hand. Containment breaches aren't a good idea because they'll literally just flood the entire area and the ship with radiation. So yeah, getting down there is probably a good idea. Meanwhile, Jones, do you want to make another helm, try and get things back on track? Otherwise, it's going to be difficult for people to do anything.
5.
You
6,
got
7,
this,
8.
Jones.
So 8. There we go.
8, fantastic. Then
I
slowly you compensate by literally blowing out another panel and using it as a thruster, and the whole thing slows and then comes to a stop.
Be thankful, because if push came to the shove, I was just going to have to kick out a window up front.
Or reject. Yeah. So yeah, you managed to get it underneath. So there'd be no more negatives to anybody's rolls. I'm just going to randomly roll a d6 every few rounds.
Well, but before you start randomly rolling every few rounds there,
it's
GM,
bad, isn't it? Yeah.
because that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Can I, presumably a lot of the asteroids around us are huge. Can I maneuver into a position where I can essentially either latch on or land on, or?
Well, you actually, because the rings are quite thin, you should be able to move the ship out of the actual belt itself.
That would be better again.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
no.
That's going to take a couple of rounds.
That's
So in the meantime, Carter, I need you to make another d6 roll and add your agility. Let's see how fast you get down to the engine room. Gorlan, I need you to make a d6 roll. You're the guy with the medical skill, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. So add your medical bonus and the education as well. Difficulty is going to be 7 for you, Gorlan, 7 for you, Carter.
Yeah, I got 7.
Brilliant.
I got an 8. So
An 8. Okay. You patch yourself up. You manage to wipe the blood away. You get yourself to as you're doing that, you sort of get yourself to the console. And you can see that Carter is now in the cargo hold. He's running. You can see his little ID chip bleeping on the monitor, heading over to the doorway to the engine room. And that's when you're distracted then by a girl that you met on a spaceship a little while ago, and she's leaning over your shoulder, sort of watching as well, and she just nods and goes, "Yeah, that looks like a good idea." Just to your right.
What the?
Yeah.
Am I right?
No, this is Gorlan.
All right.
Yeah.
I just like freak out and look over my shoulder.
Sorry, looking at your shoulder at what? Sorry.
Oh, okay, weird.
Okay, roll a d6 and add your pressure bonus.
Oh god.
It just happens in a split second.
So I got 9.
9.
So,
If we get a pressure point, she was literally there. You could smell a perfume. She was literally there. You turned and then there's just nothing there.
I look over at Jones. Does he see?
No, Jones is wrestling with the controls at the moment, just trying to get the ship out of the so-and-so.
I'm focused.
Now, Gorlan, I need you to make a d6 roll and add. Have you got any kind of engineering skill? You haven't, have you? No.
No.
Okay, so make a d6 roll and add your education.
Okay.
Difficulty is going to be 7.
So I got 5 in total.
In total, gotcha. Yeah. Carter, you get to the door, you hit the switch, the door starts to slide open. Unfortunately, Gordon, you were distracted by this, whatever it was on your shoulder. You didn't see at the very last minute the depressurization fire warning literally just behind the door that Carter's opened. And it acts like a backdraft effect. So when the door slides open, so there's a huge explosion of air and flame out the doorway. Carter, it's going to blow you backwards. I need you to make a roll d6 and make an agility roll. As your agility score, I should say.
4.
4. You're literally blown off your feet. You go flying backwards, and you will take 1 point of damage. Flames and smoke and electrical arcs come flying out of this doorway. You hit the deck. There's something jammed in your shoulder. Sorry, your other shoulder from where you hurt yourself earlier, and you can feel blood down the side of your neck because obviously you've been quite badly damaged.
Are there any? Right. Well, obviously I'm going to have to try and get up, but
yeah.
Are there fire suppression systems on the ship? Is there any fire suppression systems that I can?
There are fire suppression systems, but for whatever reason, they're not working. Now, you can manually do it. The actual pull switch is just next to the door controls, which are on fire right now. So you can make an engineering roll if you want to try and bypass that.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that.
Yeah.
All right? I want to try and see if I can trigger some fire suppression.
Yep.
So I've rolled a 4.
Yeah, plus your engineering primary position, isn't it? Yeah, so that's +2, plus your education.
Plus another 2.
Brilliant. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So brilliant. So you go diving over. Yes, the panel is damaged, but you think, hang on a second, there's another one down here. You go down a little bit, you pull the actual wall panel off, and literally just pull another handle there, just a release valve. It's like a halon system, and the whole thing just comes on, and basically just the fire literally goes out. You can't catch your breath for a few seconds. It's a little bit painful. It feels like you breathed in smoke, and the back of your throat really, really hurts. But yeah, the fire goes out. You've got 30 seconds to shut down this system.
Okay. I'm going to get on with that.
Gotcha. You go diving in. Very quickly go back to Jones. I need you to make another helms roll to get the ship out of the asteroid field.
I can do this.
You can.
This is exactly what I was trained for.
But you are working with one thruster, so the difficulty will be 7. So you need to get more than 7.
That's good news. It's not really good news. There's no good here. 5.
5. Oh. You're trying to move the ship with just your thrusters. You've used your option to blow a panel out to help thing. And you're slowly drifting up, but the ship is basically just losing it. Oh, and it takes another hit as well. Let me just see how big the asteroid is. Okay, shouldn't have rolled that. So the whole thing sort of basically starts moving up, and suddenly something scrapes along the underside of the ship. There's this huge, horrible renting sound. And I need each of you to roll a d6. I don't want any of you to roll a 1. Like you did in the long sleep pods.
I got a 5.
I didn't. 4.
No ones, no?
No ones.
Brilliant. There's a huge renting sound. Another depressurization alarm goes off. There's been a hull breach somewhere. Quite a bad one by the sounds of things, but it's not in any of the rooms that you're in. At this point, Carter, you get into, and the whole ship again jerks around. Carter, you're going to be at -1. You get into the engine room, get down the corridor and to the end. The door is sealed, but the actual access points are to your right. The door is sealed because there's no engine there anymore and it's drifted off, but the actual connection that it has to the ship's central core is still there. You need to get into that system and basically just cut it up, and basically just shut it down to stop the containment breach from getting out of hand. So you get over to the panel, you pull it off, you start typing away, and that's when you roll a d6 and you add your education and your engineering skill, but you will be at -1 because the ship is still spinning a little bit out of control again.
Okay.
You got this.
I've got 4 on the dice.
Yeah.
2 is my engineering score.
6.
And then my education, yeah?
Which is?
2.
So that's 8. Yeah, you're at -1 because and that's a 7, so that's dead on. So you get over there, you get a panel open, but you start pressing a few switches. What the hell? And you just pull a whole bunch of wires out. That should do it. And then the containment alarm switches off, and then the whole right hand side of the ship powers down, and the ship is saved. Because the ship is saved because you rolled dead on the target number.
So so I'm going to get. I'm going to get my ass kicked in a minute.
At that moment, Gorlan, a couple of seconds too late, hits the comms button and says, just watch the door.
Yeah, thanks for that.
So I'm assuming the pressurization alarms are still going
they're literally ringing off,
mental.
Yeah. You're not sure which room, though. The system is really badly damaged. It's not telling you which room is damaged.
But we have environmental suits.
Yes. And you've got your helmets on and what have you. So,
I suggest, Gorlan, that if you go meet up with Carter, get the environmental suits, and then bring another one up to me here.
You're already wearing it.
Are we?
Yeah, you put them all on.
I thought we were just wearing pressurized rather than
there's a lot of vacuum. They're not proper space suits. They're vacuum suits. So they will keep you alive in vacuum with the helmets and what have you for a little while. But, that's a good point, actually. Carter, you got blown off your feet, didn't you? Roll a d6 and don't roll a 1. 4. Okay, so your suit's damaged, but it's not breached, so it's still holding pressure, so you're okay. But your helmet's cracked, but you're fine. You're absolutely fine. A little bit of gaffer tape, you'll be fine.
Gorlan's going to try and look through the computer systems and see if he can find out where the other breaches are.
Gotcha.
So that you can try and direct Carter to the...
Yeah. Well, first of all, Jones, can you make another helm roll, please?
Always.
Difficulty is going to be 7 again.
The question is not whether or not I can make one, it's whether or not I can pass one. 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. So, yeah, dead on. So, yes, you managed to get the ship back under control, but it's not moving any further out the field. You need to get at least one more successful roll to get it out of the field again. Every time you fail a roll, you manoeuvring the ship, and the chances are you're going to manoeuvre it in the path of an oncoming asteroid. It's completely random where these asteroids and ice chunks come from. So it's not like sort of Millennium Falcon outrunning TIE fighters where you can do all the maneuvers. It's completely random where all these asteroids are tumbling to. There's
nothing to worry about here. We're all fine here.
How are you? So, Gorlan, you're checking the system.
Yes.
So you sort of type in. Can you make a... What's your primary and secondary, sorry?
So my primary is navigation and my secondary is medical. So this is basically just me trying to flick through the systems to see if I can find anything.
Well, we'll use navigation.
It's glowing red.
Yeah. We'll use your navigation skill, but it'd be a +1 because you're not really navigating, unless you're navigating, not dying. So roll a d6, add your education and +1.
Cool. So that would take me to 7.
7.
Straight up 7. Yeah.
Yes. I'll need the ship screen up, please.
Cool.
Okay, you are looking at the officers' quarters, number 3. That is where the depressurization is. So it's not, nobody uses the officers' quarters. There's no reason to. So it's not bad. But there also seems to be a rupture in 8 as well. So something is slid across the bottom of the vessel, ruptured into the officers' quarters, and has also ruptured, not bad, but enough to create a leak in the cargo hold.
Cool. So I'll hit the kind of internal comms, and I'll just message over to Carter that there's a problem in the cargo area, so he's got to be aware of that. But also that there's another breach in the officers' quarters as well, and just sort of like bark it out over the very, very succinct over the comms.
Can we seal these areas?
The officers' quarters sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll not worry about that. And I'll head towards the cargo hold.
Yeah.
And try and find out what's happening in there.
No worries. You head down to the cargo hold. Like I say, excuse me, I do apologise. Yeah, you can seal off the officers' quarters. That's not a problem. You get down to the cargo hold, and you can feel it in the air. And in fact, because it's all filled with acrid smoke, you can actually see it all trailing down to a point. By looks of it, the cargo lift in the cargo hold is being twisted, and the seal's been busted, and that's where the air is exiting. Jones, very quickly, can I have another starship roll off you, please? If you roll on 7, you're keeping it stable. If you roll on 8, you're out the field. If you roll a 6, there's going to be an issue.
And if I roll a 1?
Okay.
Just for my own personal curiosity. Yeah. No reason.
Okay, you start manoeuvring the ship again. You've got it this time. Well done. So you're manoeuvring the ship again. Gordon, as you're sort of shouting these things out to Carter and sort of going over the system, on the monitor next to you, it looks like your ship is actually transmitting a distress signal.
Okay.
And as you sort of think, and then suddenly the whole ship just rocks, and the severity, it's something again has hit the ship and is sending it out. It's moved into a slow tumble. Everybody roll a d6. Don't roll a 1.
I didn't roll a 1. It's okay.
I did.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm not doing anything particularly. Hang on a minute. Yeah.
As the ship sort of turns, you sort of look up. An asteroid the size of a small house is literally tumbling straight towards the cockpit, smacks straight into it, and all the depressurization alarms go off. There's been a whole breach in the cockpit.
Hammering the button to bring down the
blast shields.
Blast shields again.
You turn over. You see the crack appear, and you see gases starting to sort of the thing bounces off. The whole ship sort of twists. It feels as well like the whole cockpit is twisted out of shape. And then the blast shields come down, but the blast shield that's coming down over where it's been over the impacts sort of starts to grate as if it starts like it's bent out of shape.
Buckled.
Roll a d6 and don't roll a 1.
6.
Brilliant.
Oh, thank God.
It scrapes, and then it closes. And it's actually, because you rolled a 6, it actually seals quite perfectly.
Oh,
so
that's good.
So it's all good. Don't know what you're worried about.
I shout over to Jones and I'm like, did you hit a distress beacon?
I've distressed myself, but I didn't press one, no.
Okay.
Why? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I wholeheartedly agree with whatever has triggered it.
Or is it a specific distress signal?
Very, very specific. In fact, it's coming from you, Jones. In fact, by the looks of it, it's signed by you. You're the one that wrote it. And apparently, the navigation your navigation calculations were incorrect. You have actually ended up inside this asteroid belt. The issue is completely yours. It's completely your fault, and you're apologising for it. And you don't know where you went wrong.
If the others haven't spotted that yet, I won't be. I'll just be hiding that.
Yeah. So you're apologising for it. It's completely your fault. You don't know where you went wrong. You don't know. You're apologising, and you love whichever family member that you're most closest to, very, very much. And goodbye. Basically, it's like a last will and an admission of guilt. And you're sending that out saying, if anybody's in the vicinity, come and get us. Of course, nobody's going to be in the vicinity. If anybody does come and get you, the closest place is 9 weeks away. So yeah.
And this is a written message. It's not a letter.
It's a typed out message. Not recorded.
Okay.
I would just like to say, Carter, Gorlam, I didn't do any of that. I was in my pod. You may remember the time, like 20 minutes ago, when the pods opened and I was trapped inside.
I'm going to look at the dates on it and see if it's.
How difficult is it to forge a signature, a digital signature?
It's literally, it looks like somebody's spoken into a dictaphone, because there's some grammar problems and there's some really weird. It's like the subtitles you get, like the auto-generated subtitles on YouTube. So it's all a little bit, some of it's a little bit out. But other than that, there's no digital signature, and there's just the ID picture of Jones in the corner looking a little bit distraught, and that's it.
I'm going to look for the date on it. When
there's no date by the looks of it. It's just automatically started. The date is as of right now.
Well, as interesting as this is, I have a cargo lift that is leaking.
That's true.
Talking about cargo, Carter, remember you're actually taking this highly volatile solution in the cargo bay. And as you sort of head over, there's a horrible creaking sound. And now these things are kept in cylinders about the size of small cars. And they're absolutely huge. There's a whole rack of them on the wall on one side, and they're all in. But looking to the left, there's obviously been an impact, and it's pressed down, and it's actually damaged the framework of what's holding these things in. And one of the cylinders is sort of leaning out against its netting. And as you're sort of walking over, there's a horrible creaking sound as it sort of leans against the grating.
Ooh. I'm looking around for one of those. I've always wanted to do this. One of those Ripley loader robot kind of things.
I am so sorry, but the best I can do is a walk along. Basically, it's like a handheld unit with a big forklift on it, but it's got the grabby hands. But it's just like a pump truck.
And it's yellow, so you know.
It's yellow. It's got stripes, and it makes all the noises.
That's great.
Yeah, there we go. It's like the Wish version of a power loader. Yeah.
So I climb onto my Wish power loader and I slowly trickle along.
Yeah, sort of go up.
And I want to try and just use it to support. I don't want to muck around with the thing at all. I'm not going to try to push it back. I'm just going to delicately kind of have it there as a support for the sphere.
No worries. Make a roll. Roll a d6. Add your engineering skill and your agility. It's going to be difficult. 5. Okay, so you go up with the lift. You sort of move it up, and put the claw on it. You start pushing it back, and then the bottom of it slips out the netting and literally just crashes down onto the floor, and the whole thing just splits open and is absolutely empty. Meanwhile, back in the cockpit, the alarms are going off. Then that's sort of ringing in your ears. But the last thing you saw, Jones, just as the door was about to close, through the little sliver of gap and the glass, you saw a face appear looking in. Like the guy was cleaning your windows. He sort of looks in, like shocked, and then that's when the thing closes.
That's disconcerting, to say the least.
The sphere was empty.
When you say the face looked in, was it a face wearing a helmet? Was it a human face?
Human face outside looking in, like they'd just washed your windows, and there's just looking a little bit surprised that you just locked them out.
Yeah, no, none of that's right. You didn't see anything there, no? maybe.
Gordon is as much as he trusts Jones. If he did send this message, something seriously,
which I didn't.
So he's like, there's bound to have been some bits of pieces that have tumbled off consoles and out of things, and he just puts like a fairly sharp looking piece of metal just in his pocket, or like just puts it into his glove just in case Jones has gone space mad.
I'm starting to wonder if these spheres were full of lysergic acid dithylmide.
I don't know what language that is. I'm sorry. So. But yeah, sorry, back to you, Carter. Yeah, it slammed onto the ground, and yeah, it's split open. The top's popped off, and yeah, it's empty. There's nothing in it.
We've been robbed. We've been robbed. I wonder, is it worth going and cracking open another one just to see? You
can do if you want to.
You're an engineer. You can do this, right?
Yeah. Let's do this.
In fact, it's surprisingly easy to open. They're sealed, but not security sealed. And you just basically turn the top. The light goes off. You lift the lid off. Again, empty.
Yeah, I want to open one. I'll open one over in the far bank.
Empty.
Right, we've been robbed.
They're all empty.
Space pirates.
The worst kind of pirates.
Gorlan's gonna like he sits there for a second, closes his eyes, and he tries to like rationalize things because he's an educated guy.
You're a medical officer, aren't you?
Yeah.
Roll a d6 and add your education and your medical officer skill.
As you lean back in your chair and close your eyes, I'll go, if you're concussed, you probably shouldn't go to sleep.
Gorlan with his charisma 1 just says, shut the fuck up. So it's 6 plus 4 plus 1 for the medical, so 11 in total.
Okay, you're trying to rationalise what's happening. You've had this really weird vision to your right-hand side, and it's something a bit strange going on. You're not entirely too sure, so you try to take a deep breath. And then then your medical training comes back. Okay, what happened first? The long sleep situation, right? You've been brought out of long sleep in an emergency, and being brought out of long sleep without going through the proper depressurization procedures can result in a little bit of hypoxia, and some of the chemicals that are in your system could then lead to side effects such as cramps, vomiting, nausea, and hallucinations, both auditory and visual.
Right. So Gorlan sort of like takes a breath and just looks over at Jones and says this, but he's got the comm button down at the same time.
You take a breath, and when you open your eyes, that same girl that you remember on the space station that sort of helped you out, she's leaning directly into your face, and there's blood streaming out of her eyes, and she's just going, ah!
Jesus Christ.
As soon as you open your eyes, you need to make a pressure roll.
Oh, God. Oh, no. 8. It's a failure.
So how many pressure points have you got now?
So it's 2 pressure points now.
So roll a d6, and you don't want to roll a 1, basically. You want to roll 2 or more.
Oh, we're so good at rolling ones. What? I rolled a 5.
Okay, you're fine. Well, you're not fine. Yeah. And then as quickly as it happens, it's gone. Jones, you notice this. He sees over his eyes. His whole body just convulses like he's been given an electric shock. I don't know. How do you react to it, actually, Gordon?
Pretty much that. Like, he convulses for a second, goes rigid.
Yeah.
He just says, like, a woman's name. He just says, Anna.
Yeah.
And then he sort of, like, tries to steady himself, and he's, like, pale white. But he tries to, like, it takes a second, looks over at Jones and tries to do exactly what he was trying to do before, and sort of presses the comms button, and he's like, he just reams off like a bunch of medical jargon. Yeah. And he's like, don't trust yourselves. Something's gone wrong here. Keep your heads, kind of thing. Trying to
as you're saying that, Carter, you see the breach in the cargo. You've seen looking at all of these, and you hear the cargo door creak, the actual cargo lift door creak, quite ominously, like it's twisted out of shape.
Oh, God.
And looking over at it, somebody's trying to get in. You can see the fingers actually through the crack in the cargo lift, trying to sort of get in, and they're slowly pulling the cargo lift open. Bloodied, cracked fingers with no fingernails.
You've got an axe, by the way, remember, that I gave you.
Have I got an axe?
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be smart about this.
I can't wait to hear what this is going to be.
I want to chop the fingers off.
Okay.
I'm going to attack him with an axe.
Okay. You make a strength roll.
Yep.
Have you got security skill?
Yes.
Brilliant. Make a strength roll. Add your D6 as a secondary. Add +1 for your security skill because you're trained in hitting stuff.
So 3 on the dice.
Yep.
3 for strength.
Yep.
1 for security.
So 7 in total.
7. That's right. Yeah. Well, you beat their 6. So you basically step forward. It's basically an opposed roll. So I'll roll a D6 and add their strength, and then you beat it by a point. You swing the axe over. You come straight down into the hull, completely missing the fingers because there are no fingers. The axe goes into the crack that's already there, and then the breach literally splits, and the whole cargo lift door basically just bends out. It was already really delicate. Being smacked with an axe hasn't helped. And straight away, the depressurization alarms start screeching. Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate.
Well, I already did that in the pod. Right. Clearly hitting it with an axe probably wasn't the right solution there. Is there any gaffer tape or such thing that I could kind of like seal over the hole?
There is like this. They've got 3 levels of sealant. You've got small tubes, which you'll find in most areas, which you can just spray over cracks. But then you've got this big fire extinguisher type thing, which blows out this really thick, comes out as foam and then hardens, and you can put that over seals. But at the moment, your ears are popped. You can actually feel your blood coming out of your nose because the pressurization has dropped so fast. Now you can try and grab one. It's literally these things are in the walls. You can go and grab it, come over and get it done. But it's going to take you 2 rounds to do that, and in that time, you're going to start suffering depressurization effects. So it's up to you. You can either get out now and seal, or you can try and seal the crack.
The difficulty. Can somebody bring up the map of the ship, please? I just want to double check something because
Sure.
The difficulty is if I leave there and seal off that cargo area,
you'll have no access to the engine rooms.
We have no access to the engine room.
Mm-hmm. Where are the suits as well?
In the airlock number 6, space suits.
Okay, right.
See, you're coming round to my thinking about the spacesuits now, aren't you? It's gone.
While Carter's like thinking, Gordon has like slammed the button again, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing, Carter?"
I know I'm going to...
We only have one engine, so being kept away from it isn't the worst in the world. I mean, when we had 2 engines, being able to access both was great.
If it goes critically, that would be a problem, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. But that's a problem for future us. If you get out now, we can seal it off. If we need to go back in there, at least we've got the spacesuits on this side.
Leave the room.
Yeah.
And leave the crystals behind.
Get out.
So you get out the room. As you get out, you can feel it feels like your head's imploding. It's just, and your headache, it's the effects of literally having oxygen sucked out of your lungs. It's not nice feeling at all. And the cold as well, it's literally right down to your bones. But you get to the door, you get through, you hit the emergency seal, the door drops, alien style, and then the alarm stops. It's the whole room is just, the whole cargo room is just sealed. And then the mom pats you on the shoulder and says, "Well done, son."
Who did?
Who? What? Sorry?
Huh?
I don't understand what you're talking about. Meanwhile, back in the cockpit.
Look over at Gorlam. You're the medical officer. You should get down there and make sure he's okay. I'll be fine here.
Yeah, Gordon actually does that. Like, he doesn't actually probably want to spend that much time with Jones if Jones is the one who's put them in this bloody position. So he kind of unbuckles himself from the seat.
Yeah.
And goes to see if he can find Carter. Yeah. Because he's obviously shouted all this mumbo jumbo to Jones. So he's like, he's got a clear head. Mm-hmm. But did Carter hear it over the comms and all that kind of thing? So you're going to try and find him.
No worries. Yeah. You unbuckle yourself. You start leaving the actual the cockpit. That distress signal is still transmitting.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind that distress signal transmitting because at least it's a distress signal. There's no point in re-recording a new distress signal.
Yeah, true. So the distress signal is still going. Jones, I need you to make another party roll. Let's see if we can get you out of this asteroid field.
Gordon has taken the metal shard with him, by the way, just in case.
Yeah, there was.
I'm so glad I didn't see you do that. 9.
I'm glad you didn't tell him either.
Yeah.
So 9.
9.
Fantastic. The ship finally comes out of the rings. So you've got this vista of these black and gold asteroids, ice, and all sorts heading in the direction. You're in the shadow of the planet as well. The planet's a horrible, sickly sort of brown, black, and green. Obviously, the sun that it's orbiting is half dead, so he's hardly getting any light at all. Very atmospheric. So yeah, you're looking across the actual ring, which goes off millions of miles into the distance, and it's but you're out and you're in safety. And just as you're about to put the ship back, basically into, you've got your hands on the controls. You're going to put the ship, lock it into a nice safe position. Suddenly, another hand grabs hold of your wrist, and it's Warren. And he looks at you and says, "I'm afraid I cannot allow you to do that." Meanwhile, Gordon, you're heading down towards where Carter is.
Yeah. So walking down through the cramped corridors, trying to find him, just like shouting out his name, hoping he managed to get to
Carter, where are you headed to?
I'm heading back up towards the bridge.
Yeah. In that case, then you both run into each other. And just outside your bunk rooms, number 5, about halfway up that corridor. And you both sort of bump into each other.
Gorlin like grabs him by the shoulders and sort of like, and then like grabs his head and checks his eyes to make sure that he's like okay, because there's blood coming out of his nose.
That's right, there's blood out of his nose, out of his ears. His eyes are bloodshot as well. He's obviously got the wound on his shoulder. You can actually see that the actual suit itself is damaged, and he's obviously favouring it a little bit. But I don't know, do you want to take him out of his pressure suit to make sure he's okay?
You can peel me out of my pressure suit. That's that charisma number 4 coming.
Gorlin grimaces and sees if he can try and fight. Well, because he could have taken a knock from the from such, and there could be all kinds of things going on underneath his suit.
Yeah.
Gorlin like tries to take him to where there's like more of those med kits, sort of those little med packs, to see if he can. And he's like, "Get out of that suit. We got to look to make sure you're okay," kind of thing.
Well, there are medical kits in the bunk rooms. Do you know what? I'm sorry. Can I have a look at the ship map again? I can't even remember if I actually gave the Starship a medical suite.
We don't have time for this. Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't look. I'm not. We don't have time for this. We are in big trouble. This ship has been compromised. We need to get back to the bridge. We need to find out what the hell's going on, and how we can save our lives here. We are.
Gordon like slams his arm across the hallway so that he can like block Carter, and he says, "Jones is the one who sent the goddamn message. Jones is the one who put us here."
I'm an engineer, not a bricklayer.
That's the hypoxia talking.
What the hell are you talking about, Carter?
It doesn't matter. We are not going to solve this standing here in this corridor. You know, the solution. We need to get to the bridge. We need to work it out there, because there's no working it out here. All the controls are in the bridge. So if you think he's at fault, you've just left who was at fault in complete control of this ship.
Meanwhile,
dawns on Gordon.
Warren has his hand around your wrist and he's gripping on really tightly, quite painfully so. And then you hear a click, and he has one of the service pistols in his other hand. Can I gently request you, please, put the ship back into the asteroid field?
Certainly. Because I've still got my hand on the thing, I will just shove the lever hard to one side to put it into a massive tight spin immediately.
Ooh, got you.
Not aiming to go back now, just literally to flip it, because I'm strapped in. He isn't.
Good point. But neither the other guys, but let's worry about that in a minute.
So helmets on.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They're tough lads. They're having hallucinations. They'll be fine. You okay? Then in that case, then first of all, your attack roll is basically going to be your helm roll. So all a d6, add your helm position and your agility.
So 11. Finally, a good roll.
Fantastic. Everybody else I'm sorry about this. You need to make you're not a D6 roll plus your agility, and your target number is going to be 11. I am sorry.
Oh.
Some sort of alarm on board the ship.
4. Okay.
Okay, so I've got a 6 on the dice.
Yeah. What's your agility?
My agility's 1.
1. Okay. So basically, suddenly the ship just spins. You're both literally off your fleet. I'm getting so excited I can't talk properly. You go off your feet, slam into the ceiling, and then back down onto the floor again. It's really, really rough. I need both of you to make a strength test. So roll a D6 and add your strength score. Your existing strength score. So if you have lost any points, then of course that's what you're adding. Your difficulty is going to be 6.
Oh, 3.
I hope nobody shoved a piece of sharp metal into their suit.
Thanks for the reminder.
God damn you.
Sorry, Carter, what did you get?
I got 7.
You got 7. So you're bruised, but you're okay. Unfortunately, Gordon, you're not. Have you already lost a point of strength?
I healed it back, thankfully.
Oh, that's what you did, didn't you? So you're down to 1 point. That really, really hurt. And also, can you roll a D6, but don't roll a 1? Mr. Sharp Metal in my wrist.
Roll a 1.
Oh! Okay, then you feel this massive pain in your arm. Obviously, that bit of shard has literally gone under your skin. We'll deal with the consequences of that in a little while. But obviously, the ship's just suddenly spin. There wasn't an impact. It feels like the ship has basically just done it itself. Now, Warren has failed spectacularly with his roll.
Good.
You do the ship, he's off his feet, and as he goes flying in the air and he comes slamming back down to the ground again, the gun goes off. Roll a 1, Jones. Don't roll a 1.
I think we know where this is going. I've rolled a 1.
Oh.
I'd like to point out, I'm using my special dice that says bollocks for a 1. And I've seen it so many times today. It's been particularly good.
Everybody, after this is
well
over,
worth the investment.
take your dice, take them outside, and burn them.
Yeah.
Because the world does not need that kind of negativity. So, yeah, the gun goes off. And unfortunately, James, it's going into you. And you will be taken. You'll be taken by 1 point of damage.
Okay.
So it's not that bad. Getting shot. I do apologize. I rolled a 1, so that's a benefit. I've got the best dice out of you, I think.
It's 50% of my strength, so it's not that bad. / it is that bad.
It is that bad. It goes through your shoulder, through the seat and through your shoulder, and luckily the actual blast shields are down, so it goes into the blast shield, not through the glass. But shooting a weapon in space is a bad idea. You were both lying on the ground, but you do hear this gunshot go off.
Can I reach an intercom button?
Yeah, sure.
To alert them. Warren's got mad. He's got a gun.
And you're shouting this across the comm.
Just
that
across
echoes
the
through the
comms.
ship. Just as Warren is now trying to get to his feet. The ship is in a spin. Do you want to correct it or leave it spinning?
I need to try and keep Warren off balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm afraid my compatriots further down the ship, it's no good if you survive if I die, people.
I knew Jones was a wrong and God damn it.
That's the charisma talking. You don't know how right you are, son. But I will attempt to, going from like a flat spin to clockwise, going the other way, counterclockwise, just to try and keep him off his feet as much as possible.
So make your helm rolled. Again, difficulty is going to be 7. Okay. And that's going to be your attack roll, basically.
And again, I've passed, but only on a 7 this time.
You rolled a 7. Everybody else, a D6 plus your agility. Again, your difficulty is going to be 7. Warren fails again. So that's again, good. Warren goes flying across the room.
I got 8.
You got 8, you okay? Yeah. Sorry, Carter?
3.
3. So this time you take 1 point of damage, Carter. You go flying into the opposite wall this time. You slam down and then down to the ground. Jones, I need you to roll a D6 because the gun's gone off again. Don't roll a 1.
Yay, 4.
Oh, brilliant. Thank God.
Gun goes off again, and it's literally the bullet just hits a monitor, which sparks out quite cinematography. It looks fantastic in this. So, yeah, it literally just goes off. He's trying to get to his feet, but you flipping the ship around is basically keeping him off. What do you guys want to do? Gordon and Carter.
Get to the bridge.
Yeah.
Gordon, he feels like not red, but like a warm heat from his wrist, but he's going to clamp his other hand around it and try and stagger.
There's a lot of blood pouring out. You've lacerated something very, very important. I need you to make a medical roll.
Okay.
And if you fail that medical roll, you will take another point of damage, I'm afraid. So you really don't want to fail this. So your difficulty is going to be 7. So your medical level plus your education plus a D6.
Yeah. Okay, we got this. Oh, yeah.
What do you
So
get?
that's 4 plus 3, 7
Yeah.
plus 1 for the medical is 8.
Yeah, 8. Brilliant. So yeah, you're clamping down on, you know what you're doing, you're shoving some cloth under there, you're keeping it. Now, if you are put under any stress whatsoever, especially physically bouncing around, you will lose your grip and you'll have to make that roll again to make sure you don't take any more damage, as long as you're not taking damage by being slammed into the hull.
Yeah.
Okay,
what are the chances?
Yeah.
So I think, I guess like Carter's in front running and Gordon's like staggering behind trying to...
Absolutely, trying to stem the blood flow. Yeah. Carter, you get into the cockpit. You see Warren again trying to get to his feet. He's got a gun in his left hand, and he's lifting it up. He's obviously going for Jones by the looks of things. You still have a fire axe in your hand.
I'm gonna. Sim's out of control. I'm just gonna smack him in the face with the fire axe.
Okay.
Take off his head.
No worries. Well, he's not expecting the attacks. That's going to be his strength plus 1. So your difficulty is going to be 4. So you're basically rolling your D6 plus your strength plus your security level.
Okay, so 3 on the dice.
Yeah.
Now my strength is I have to deduct my damage.
Yeah.
Let me just. Yes, if you damage, then yes, your strength will also be lowered on your attack roll.
Okay, so it's was 3. It's
down to 1 now.
Yeah.
And then my security's 1, so that's 3, 4, 5.
Brilliant. No. You go running up with the axe, and you literally just swing at his head and smack him 1. So roll a d6. It's going to have a die cap of 2. The way damage works in this is that you're given a die cap. In this particular case, I'm going to give a fire axe a die cap of 3. So if you roll 3 or more, then the score is 3.
6.
You roll a 6. Brilliant. You go running over to Warren. You swing the fire axe, and it embeds straight down the centre of his head, right down, literally halfway in. There's a shower of sparks, weird bluish, whitish liquid comes spraying out, but it's mainly mechanical. There's not a lot of pasta in there. And then as he sort of literally just drops down to his knees, he sees twitching. And then I need you to roll a d6 and don't roll a 1 because his hands are clenching on the pistol.
2.
The gun doesn't go off and he falls forward out. The ship is still in a spin. Jones, do you want to correct?
I will attempt to correct, yes. Because, I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
I'm so injured, please.
4, 5, 6, 7.
To be honest with you, it's going to be quite easy. You know what you're doing. You're not avoiding asteroids. You're not being pelted. No, so you turn the ship and you level it out. And then, there's still alarms going off, but the ship appears to be stable. And your synthetic has an axe in his head. Gordon,
I think that's an improvement.
Better model. Gordon, you stagger into the cockpit, into the bridge, hanging on to your lacerated wrist.
Yeah.
And so you're all on the bridge.
Oh my God, what's wrong, Gordon? What happened to you?
He just points at him and says, "You rolling the goddamn ship!"
I've been shot.
He's going to stagger.
I've been shot saving your lives from the lunatic Sim.
I am sorry, actually, Jones. Could you make a pressure roll, please?
Oh, yes.
Because you're going to fail. So can you give yourself another pressure point?
I will. This will surprise you. I didn't reach 10.
Yeah.
So pressure point 2. Do you want me to make a
roll
as
d6,
well? And see whether or not I get another lovely 1.
Don't roll a 1.
I didn't actually got 6.
No, so you're fine. So you're shocked, but you're still.
The cargo's gone. The cargo's gone. It's all gone.
Screw the goddamn cargo.
Ruger control of my shoulder is gone.
I think we need to think this through. Okay. So we are not where we were supposed to be. There's a distress signal sent that you claim you didn't write, Jones.
Whoa. What's with this claim, Carter? I didn't write it.
And the cargo is gone.
I think we all see what happened here. Clearly, we've been sabotaged, and Warren was part of it. The idea was to get us out here and leave us to die, with me being the patsy, so nobody would look for us.
Gordon is listening, but he's also trying to fumble around for one of the medical kits underneath one of the other stations.
Yeah, that's no problem. Make a medical roll as well while you're at it. Difficulty 6.
Kind of impurities within the air. Something is causing these hallucinations. I'm not convinced it's hypoxia. Can we run a diagnostic on the air quality to see if any agents have been released?
Yeah, now things have calmed down a bit. It's actually quite easy to scan. As an engineer, you can actually go over the ship systems to try and figure out if anything has entered the ventilation. There is absolutely nothing. There is no foreign objects. There's no chemicals. The only thing that has got into ventilation is a little bit of sort of burnt plastic, that kind of odor, because you just got through the scrubbers. That'll irritate your eyes and give you a sore throat. Nothing to this kind of level. There is nothing in the ventilation system which would cause hallucinations like this.
While Gorlan's kind of like messing with his wrist, he kind of reiterates what he like talked about with the coming out of the long sleep, and he's like, "It's probably just the long sleep. We'll be fine in a couple of minutes. Just keep your heads. If anything weird happens, it's not real," kind of thing.
I will unbuckle myself.
Yep.
And get up and go looking for something to seal my shoulder. Since the medical officer isn't apparently helping me. Too insistent on himself. Everybody's bleeding. He's bleeding from the nose. I'm bleeding from the shoulder. I'm going to find one of the little tubes of sealant, which I'm sure is probably fine for the hull. If I just over the, this works, Doc. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, apparently it was created for that during World War II. So.
World War V, yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with myself and Carter in this instance and seal my own shoulder up.
Yeah. Well, roll a d6, add your education score. You don't have a medical.
I don't have medical, do.
So yeah, it's going to be difficult. 8.
4.
Oh, that really hurts. Yeah, I don't think putting Gorilla Glue on an open wound is probably the best idea. But yeah, that really, really hurts.
Gordon's not even actually that convinced that Jones didn't send the distress signal, so he's not going to help him at this particular moment.
That we just find the nearest habitation, space station, starport, whatever it is.
It's 9 weeks away.
I suggest that we plot a trajectory to it, and
even if it's not a case of getting to civilization, are there main shipping routes that would be used, or because space is just so vast, there's not the equivalent?
There's not really the equivalent, and not only that, where you are is so far removed from the standard routes. Even if you got yourself onto a shipping route, it'll still take you 7 weeks to get there.
Okay.
Problem being is the fact that you're also down one engine, so it's actually going to take you 14 weeks to get there.
But if we got back into long sleep, would be fine.
Do we have supplies on the ship in order to last 14 weeks?
Oh, absolutely. The ship itself, the ships like this can go for months with you guys in long sleep. Yeah. Right. So yeah, you've got the supplies to do it.
Because we may as well start heading the right direction.
Yeah, Golan's going to...
I'm not getting back into long sleep. I'm going to spend 14 weeks playing solitaire.
Gorlan's going to take a moment after he's patched his wrist up just to try and look through the maps and that kind of thing, and just start in the Endeavour just to begin with. So.
Well, that's a good one. So you start going through the details, and you also notice that not only did the distress signal get transmitted, there was also another signal not long, like half an hour before that, which came in. You actually received a signal.
Gorlan's going to flick through that. And
bring that.
It seems to be some kind of activation code. It's like somebody has sent a signal which has basically activated a subroutine in the Starship systems. It's a very simple code. It's literally it's just a few bytes of data, but it's enough to set off a sequence of events in the ship systems. And one of the program files is called Warren.
Gorlan turns around to Carter and he's like, "You can probably make more sense of this than I can, but it seems like you were right. Seems like everything was set up so we could fail."
We need to see if we can plot where that signal came from. Can we trace the source?
Yeah, Gordon, if you want to roll a d6, add your education and your navigation skill.
Cool. So it's going to be +6. 10 in total.
10. Yeah, it came from the station that you left, Troy Station. In fact, it's that's where it came from, because there's like a signal. What do you call it? Like a watermark, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah.
On it, and that's where the signal came from.
Came from the place we left. Gorlan shares the details with everyone.
And it arrived. So how long before? Let's work out the timings of this. How long before we woke up out of cryosleep did that message arrive?
Probably just a few minutes, because when they transmitted the signal, by the looks of things, looking at the timestamp, it would have been transmitted just after you left the station. So that signal has been following you through ultralight speed. So when you came out of light speed in this system, the signal caught up, and then this happened.
Well, this sounds like it's an insurance scam.
Yeah, but we know from that then, we know that message didn't change our trajectory.
No, your trajectory was changed probably at the source.
So it wasn't Jones. Gordon looks over, goes to say something to Jones, but thinks better of it.
Just right you are. Like we all know that Cambridge Wallace are losing money hand over fist for this fleet.
Yeah,
and with what we were supposed to be transporting, they would probably never even had anything in those spheres whenever they were loaded. We got sent out here. They claim they were robbed. They sell the stuff in the black market, and then they claim the insurance for the ship. All they've lost is 3 crewmen.
They'll definitely get insurance claim if it turns out that one of the crewmen did it through negligence.
See, I'm telling you, we need to go back and we need to expose them. And the best thing for us to do is to plot a course back to civilization, and then we all get back in the long sleep.
Yeah, Gorlan turns around and he's like, Jones, you're totally right. Carter, we need to try and get the long sleep chambers back online, kind of thing.
There's 2 sets of crew compartments anyway, so we should be able to use the set we weren't already in that isn't filled with exploded sleep chambers.
Yeah. So he turns to Jones and he's like, you stay here, Jones. Keep things just in case any asteroids come around.
Just in case something comes sweeping at us.
Yeah. Let's go check the other crew quarters thing and see if they're operational.
Of course, the officers' quarters are out of bounds. They got depressurized. The captain's room, which is a single long sleep chamber and quite a larger room because this is his personal room, that's working absolutely fine. And then there's more than enough long sleep pods in the other room as well, which all seem to be in perfect working order.
Cool.
You'll notice that I use the word same.
We did, but we choose to gloss over that for the sake of our sanity.
I pressure the captain's room.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Oh, there's something not right about all of this. It does not compute for me.
You worry too much, man. Just get in the chamber. Just go back to sleep. Everything will be fine when you wake up.
What would you like to do?
So we check over the long sleep pods and they all seem fine. The chambers seem fine.
Yeah, absolutely fine. They're all plugged in. There's damage to this room because whatever hit you obviously dragged along the hull, but it's not that bad. And just basically cannibalizing some parts from the other long sleep pods just to replace connections and flows. No, this should be absolutely fine. I mean, the only issue is, of course, with one engine down, it's going to take you twice as long to get to where you need to get to.
We could do a full diagnostic before we go into the pods anyway, and make sure that everything is as ship-shape as we can make it, even if it means that we're going to slowly crawl along in that direction for a few days while we do some running repairs.
One of us is going to have to stay awake because we don't have a sim. We have no backup.
Well, if needs be, I could take first watch even, I'll do a couple of weeks, and then if all goes well, I could wake up our backup helmsman there, Gorlan.
Well, if we took a month,
Well, I think that's what we do. Gordon suggests not plotting a course back from the place where we came, because that's where they tried to get rid of us.
Oh, yeah. I'm just looking for closest civilization that we think
point
is
it
friendly.
towards the 9 weeks away destination, which is going to take longer than that.
Yeah.
And then make sure everyone's prepped and okay to go into the long sleep pods, and then get people sorted to go into them, and just try to. Yeah.
Well, Carter, I'll need you to make an engineering roll. It's going to be quite easy. Like I say, this it's a straightforward job. You worked on the pods before. So roll in fact, no, I'll roll for you.
Ooh,
So what's your engineering is your primary, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And what's your education score? Sorry.
2.
2. Okay, you do a good job. You work on the pods. I won't tell you what the score is. You work on the pods. You've got everything into place. All the wires are in where they should be. You've got decent flow on each pod as far as liquids and gases are concerned. So no, that's absolutely spot on. So you're good to go.
Don't forget to go before you go to sleep.
Let's all make a toilet run now.
Since Carter was injured before, Gordon looks him over before putting him into the long sleep pod first, just to make sure that he's safe.
We'll take it as read that you, as the medical officer, make sure that everybody's prepped for long sleep. So gunshot wound, self-inflicted shard of metal attack on yourself.
Who would have thought?
Because who knew how that happened? And of course, you're getting caught in the face with an explosion. So you make sure that everybody's sort of checked over and is good for long sleep.
Okay, so Gordon and Carter in the long sleep pods.
Yeah,
lids
Jones
closed
on his own.
Jones on his own.
Ship trying to stay sane. So so the ship, you sort of set up the navigation, the engine sort of powers up. It's going to take a long time to get up to speed, a long time to decelerate. It's working on one engine. There's going to have to be a few course corrections, no doubt, because it's unreliable, but it works. That's what's good about the Archimedes. They do work when they have to. They are harder, but they just cost a lot of money to run. So, and that's what you do. You get that set up, and then slowly the camera pans across the bridge. There's broken screens. There's every now and then there's a little pop of sparks. There's the massive dent in the ceiling, and then it goes down to where Warren is lying on the floor, and then his fingers twitch ever so slightly, and that's the end, guys.
Oh man!
You don't see me just slowly huffing on your long sleep pods and drawing little faces like a smiley face over the top in the condensation.
Yeah, stroking the glass.
That was awesome.
Oh man, thank you very much, dude. That was fantastic.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. What a great RPG setting. And the mechanics work so well within it. Jonathan,
thank you
so much, man. That was absolutely brilliant.
And absolutely, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, guys, and coming out to play. So thanks very much for your time. I really do. I really enjoyed that. That was good fun.
I will also say, those Dark Places available both as physical books and also in digital formats as well, from Osprey and stuff like that. So if you want to go and pick it up for yourself and give it a go, absolutely fantastic. The artwork, as we were saying, we have been saying before, is fantastic. And
by Nathan Anderson, the guy is absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
really, really good. So
fantastic, very enjoyable. Who knows? Maybe we can get together and do the sequel sometime.
Anytime, boys. Just give me a shout, and I'll be straight there trying to kill you again.
Guys, thanks for watching. Tune in, go try it yourselves, and go and delve into those dark places.
We hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.